There we go. Okay. That little startup screen is just so just enough to get me excited about this. The loading screen a little less so, but you know, whatever. Sign of the times, I suppose.
In a world covered by endless water, people are forced to eke out a living on the small patches of land that remain above the sea. The people of this world rely on ancient technology driven by quantum refractors, a powerful energy source. These refractors lie in ancient ruins underground and in the sea, and are sought out by explorers called diggers. These brave explorers are the sole source of refractor energy, which has become a cornerstone of the emerging civilizations.
The way they phrase that the
Originally,
diggers
this
are the
was
source of
diggers'
refractor
only
energy
purpose.
makes it sound
Find refractors so that
they're like plugging
civilization
them
might
into like mainframe cores or something and
Over
like
the years,
sucking the energy out of them
story
like the
a
Matrix.
pioneer treasure, the legendary Mother Lode, began to be whispered
Oh
among
my
the
god, it's been so long. Even
Mother
the last,
Lode,
I almost
a
never
treasure
sit through this whole
so
intro here.
great that if it
The way
was
he says
discovered,
"whisper"
it would
when it
provide so
says
much
"whisper"
power
is
that
just
the world
adorable.
never need fear running out of energy. Seeking this Mother Lode, diggers travel from one island to another in their flying machines.
Flying
That
machines.
they'll find what they seek just over the horizon.
This the the the, the acting for this opening narration bit is a lot worse than I remembered. I've got to say.
Power. Who can say what truly
You can tell that he's trying though. I like that he put it in that little bit of extra effort with his whisper and power and all of that. You can tell that he gave it his all at the very least. Although it's not really a sign of things to come though, because the acting in this game in general is like quite good, I think, especially for the time and especially for like a sort of anime style game. I have actually played this in the emulator before. I'm just curious if my save data is still here. If it is, I should have the option to play on hard mode, which I might actually do. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was back when I was using the other emulator. And yeah, we get, and of course, a very simple little title screen here. Just showing off the serve bots. Engaged in various sorts of mischief. Yeah, and yeah, of course, they kind of knew, it seems, even before the game came out, that this was going to be kind of the game's main selling point, the main mascot character, or set of characters to come out of this. Whoa, he went blasting off right there. I think I'm gonna, you know what? Yeah, let's just we'll sit and see some of the different things that these guys can do while I just sort of blab about Mega Man Legends and sort of how I got into it and all of that. So yeah, actually, I talked about a bit about it when I was playing through Symphony of the Night. How I played the previous Mega Man games and I was a fan of the series, but this was something completely new, and it got kind of mixed reviews at the time. I remember not everyone was completely into Mega Man Legends back then. It was kind of a cult hit at the time. Even back then, it was it's yeah, the 3D controls, just a lot of people weren't into it. It was like 3D, like, you know, 3D action games were kind of a new thing back in these days. And even for the time, Mega Man Legends, it was a little bit behind the curve, although actually a little bit ahead in some other ways as well, which is which we'll get into as we play the game. But yeah, I was crazy about this game back then. Going back to what I was talking about earlier throughout the Symphony stream leading into this, just kind of the absolute just charm of it. You got, yeah, the serve bots and the Bond Pirates and Roll and just all the lovable cast of characters and a great setting too, great atmosphere. It's just everything about this game, or I should say everything about the game's setting and characters and story and all of that is great. There's some not so great stuff about the gameplay that we'll get into, but yeah, we can just get into that. Here we go.
Mega Man? Mega Man!
I like this intro here too. Like, I feel like the text scroll at the beginning. Oh, there's no subtitles, are
I'm
there?
worried because the transmission got cut off suddenly.
I'm gonna have to be quiet.
I think this is the last door.
I'm gonna have to be quiet when they're talking because there's no subtitles. It's actually a very good-looking game. Like, not just for the time, obviously for the time, but also I think it holds up decently.
Still active. The reactor's still running.
Great. What
This
about
game
the
is actually a little bit
counter?
quiet compared to how Symphony
All right,
was.
now maybe we can finally get some money. Be careful.
If we had, so yeah, that was a great little Indiana Jones opening there.
No chickens yet. I'm picking something up on my screen. Looks like a Reaver bot. You'd better get out of there. Come on.
Right. If you see anything, let me know.
If he had his helmet at this point in the game, then yeah, you could have a bit at, then they totally would have put in, I bet, a bit at the end there where he like loses his helmet sliding under the last door and then reaches back for it. Oh, right, we gotta actually change our settings here. Yeah, I strongly prefer directional button turning for this game. That's just the way, it's just the way I was brought up. That's not the default setting. The default has you run left and right like this, using the left and right buttons, and then turn using the shoulder buttons. But I strongly prefer
Wait a
D-pad
second.
turning.
Should be a Reaver
Actually,
bot
in this
around
in
here
the
somewhere.
sequel, they even go so far as to say something stupid like
Looks like a small
they
one.
have like an A-type and B-type controls, where it's A-type is the default with the D-pad moving you left and right and the shoulder buttons to turn, and it says something insulting like about D-pad turning, like this is for beginners who aren't experienced with action games or something like that. But personally, I think that yeah, just D-button turning is just the way to go. It's the same way it works in King's Field, actually, as well, and worked in pretty much most sort of most like sort of 3D games back then, I do believe. I think Siphon Filter worked the same way, which was kind of a later title that was also kind of a
Turn
3D
right there.
action shooting game. Turn right? Okay, let's not do that then. So yeah, as far as the controls go, so yeah, like I said, you can do you can either turn using the D buttons or turn using the D-pad, or turn using the shoulder buttons, and then whichever one is not turning will run you left and right. You've got a little quick turn that you can do, either left quick turn, right quick turn. So that helps you sort of move around a bit and deal with the controls. Because yeah, this is kind of what people... I don't know, it's not really tank controls because the camera is fixed behind your character. So it's not like technically Resident Evil tank controls, although your character does move very slowly. So that quick turn can be very, very helpful. In fact, I think a lot of the people who think that this game has like bad
Where you
controls
going, Mega Man?
and
That's
stuff
not the right way.
were
I
just
don't like the
not
way that looks.
making good use
Maybe you'd better head back.
of the quick turn. Actually, yeah, Tobal I remember from back in the day. I think I even played it once. But yeah, there's basically, I don't know, there's kind of a mix of like tunnels and open spaces in this game. Like a lot of the, I'll explain the structure of the game as we go along, but yeah, it's not all just tight corridors. That's just, I think it's appropriate for them to have tight corridors just for this intro here. And actually, I think it's appropriate for the game in general. I think the game kind of does tight corridors
Mega Man, are you all right?
better than some of the other things it does because of some of the things about the game that make it a bit of a cakewalk. So this was a challenging game for me as a kid. Like I've said in the past, I was really, really bad at just 3D action games in general back then. I couldn't do Mario 64, I couldn't do like Banjo-Kazooie or any of those like 3D action games. I could kind of do Crash Bandicoot, but that was like barely 3D. That was like a
Not far from your
like a
current
2D
position.
platformer in 3D, basically. where sometimes you go forwards instead of side to side. Oh, I actually didn't want to do that. I guess I'm explaining the controls and they're kind of like explaining it for me anyways, so why bother?
Watch out, there's something right in front of you.
Yeah, but kind of a little bit of like over tutorializing here in this first dungeon. Although there's kind of a purpose. It kind of helps to establish the relationship between Mega Man and Droll, sort of the digger spotters thing that they have going on, and sort of establishes her her purpose in their sort of duo here. But yet, so she's giving you all this advice. It's like, oh, my sensors are picking up this thing. But yet, since it's a tutorial dungeon, there's not really anything complicated or dangerous enough to really merit her, to really require her advice or assistance or anything. So she just kind of ends up coming off as like kind of just an annoying, hey, listen, Navi type guide character.
Grab the ledge if you have to.
Yeah, a little bit of over-tutorializing here, I'd say, which is not... Which, yeah, kind of before over-tutorializing started to become a thing in video games. Most video games at around this time tended to take more of a read the manual approach type thing, where they don't teach you anything in the game and expect you to just learn everything by reading the manual. I think I still do have my physical copy of this game, so I guess I could go pull out the manual to check and see what they had to say if I wanted to. Maybe I'll go investigate that further some other time, just double checking the stream to make sure everything's working right. Looks like we're good. Well, actually, this right here. Okay, so it looks like it does actually freeze their... yeah, freeze the crystals in place when you get this here. It's just kind of annoying because you have a... just kind of triggers me a little bit, because I know that normally these crystals are on a timer and they'll fade away before too long, so you really want to rush and pick them all up when you see them, and then that message comes up and kind of stops you in your tracks there, even though it stops the crystals from fading away at the same time. There's kind of like a little bit of exploring you can sort of do here. There's like, you know, sort of branching paths that you don't necessarily have to go down. But, yeah, there's nothing like really useful or important you can get. And yeah, here she explains the lock-on. And as far as I knew back as a kid, I thought lock-on was like the main way to play the game. Like I was bad at I was bad at aiming in general in 3D games. So I probably relied on the lock-on too much as a kid. It's actually better not to use it whenever you can help it, because it restricts your mobility. Mega Man Legends 2 would change it so that you can move when you're locked onto an enemy, but Mega Man Legends 1, yeah, if you're locked onto an enemy, it fixes your movement. It basically treats it as like kind of a version of your free aim. Yeah, where basically your lock-on button is your free aiming button. So you can see I can sort of aim my shots wherever I want in this mode. But if there's an enemy nearby, then it'll just lock the camera onto them instead of letting you aim your own shots. And so because like lock-on and free aiming are kind of tied together in that way, you're not allowed to move while locked onto an enemy. And then the sequel would fix that and even add like a kind of a handy targeting reticle to show you what you're locked onto. But yeah, lock-on was not quite entirely... a bit of an underdeveloped mechanic in this first game. It doesn't work quite as well as it should in the original Mega Man Legends. And so as a result, it's actually better most of the time not to lock on.
Mega Man, can you hear me?
And that's kind of where some of the problems with the gameplay come in, where yeah, your optimal strategy for pretty much every fight
Can you hear me?
is going to be to just circle strafe everything to death. It's kind of a problem of like shooting games in general. Like even FPS game, like heavily action-based FPS games like Serious Sam and Doom kind of have the same problem to some extent, where yeah, you can just run around in circles and just completely wreck anything that comes your way. And of course the way that those games kept things interesting was with changing up the terrain and sort of putting obstacles and unique maps and map designs and stuff to sort of keep you on your toes, and you sort of have to have kind of situational awareness of your surroundings and the map design and sort of make use of cover and stuff like that in the FPS games. And also you had a more restricted camera in FPS games, which made that situational awareness kind of more difficult. Kind of a bit of a test of memory as to where the enemies are going when you're not looking at them. Whereas in this game, you've got, kind of a wider angle camera. You can very easily see what's around you. You can very easily group up enemies and just circle around them. And the ruins, they're not all not all like just narrow little tunnels and corridors, but they are generally box-like. In general, all of the rooms and areas in this game are just squares with the occasional platform or obstacle in the middle.
I wonder where
Oh, yeah. Guess I'm gonna have to continue being quiet since this is in the days before subtitles, guys. No subtitles. No such thing as subtitles back then. So I've got to be super quiet so we can hear what they're saying during the cutscenes. I think he said "back for more" right there. Like, as if we couldn't just do the same thing that we just did to him in there. This platform is easy enough to circle strafe this guy yet again. Oh, and he's kind of laughing at you.
See ya.
Hold on! We're taking off!
Roger.
Yeah, I started coming back to this game for like the first time in a while. It's kind of neat the way they sort of... Like, the intro to the game is very effective. Not the stupid text crawl narration-based intro, but this right here. There's a really good... This whole sequence here with, like, the dungeon and the big robot and then taking off on the flutter gives you a really, really good introduction to sort of what the game is about and just, like, the sort of theme and setting that you're in for, the type of game, the type of experience that you're going to have. Just does a really good job of setting the stage, I think, this intro sequence. I really think the opening narration was completely unnecessary. Like, everything that he tells you about world covered with endless water, the diggers, the mother lode, all of that you find out just naturally over the course of the game anyways.
Phew. Nice timing, Roll.
Anytime, Mega Man. I'm sorry, Mega Man. I had some engine problems, and...
It's okay, Roll. But I'm glad you showed up when you did.
all's well that ends well, right? And we were able to get a refractor. We should be able to get by with that for a while. If only the mother lode were as easy to find as
See, they
this.
dropped the mother lode right there.
We'll find it someday. And your parents, too.
Thanks. I know we will.
Oh, the engine's overheating. The smoke's so thick I can barely see.
What? I guess the flutter's in worse shape than I thought.
Bro, the number 5 meter's going crazy. She can't take much more of this.
Gramps, can you open up the number 11 valve again?
The number, not the number 5 meter. That's the most important meter.
Mega Man, check the map.
There's an island called Cadlocks about 100 miles southwest.
Good. Check.
And of course they have, like, yeah, the big, like, you know, old-timey big ship wheel. Of course that's how you would steer. Of course that's how you steer an airship in a world covered by endless water, right? The way the sky's scrolling by, it actually looks like we're, like, crashing down.
That's our little bull right now.
Oh, I see it! Land ho!
Come on, hold together. Just a little bit more. Hold on. I'm taking her down.
Right!
Yeah, the way that the sky is just scrolling across and the camera's just going nuts, you'd think we're, like, actually plummeting to our death right here. That actually looked really painful. I'm surprised that Gramps here actually survived that. It is Mega Boy now, because we don't have the helmet yet. Once we get the helmet, we'll be like a full-fledged Mega Man. But yeah, they don't actually start you with the helmet in this game. And yeah, I can actually talk freely now that we have. We're back to sensible subtitle land.
Been pushing her so hard. I've been taking good enough care of her. Just have to fix her up.
It's like the repairs aren't going to be finished anytime soon. We'll be here for a while, I guess.
So as effective as I think that little opening, little mini dungeon tutorial section was, things kind of stall a little bit here. It's going to be a good long while before we get to any more action going forward. Yeah, let me get this little dude right here as well. Data the save monkey. Because he's not just for save. Yeah, a little bit of clumsy exposition right here. The way he kind of dropped in the thing about finding her parents too, I thought was a little bit ham-fisted as well. But in general, I think the writing and acting in this game is actually, again, really solid, especially for the time and even just in general. I do think it holds up quite well. I like the exclamation point behind no data as well, as if it's like, holy shit, there's no data here, what are you doing? It's, no data, no data, no data, what the hell are you doing? Fill this shit up with data. How can you not have data here? Like, I don't know why, is it really that important that we need the exclamation point there, guys? Really? Anyways, and yeah, he also has, so you also got the, recharge energy, so this is your energy refill point, and also he gives you helpful advice as well. Oh yeah, did I equip the buster part? I know we got one in the ruins, and I completely forgot to put it on. So yeah, the what should I do option right here is actually really important at some points in the game. Because, yeah, it really isn't clear sometimes. This does have, like, kind of an element, sort of adventure gamey stuff where you don't know what you're expected to do next, and some kind of the requirements for progression are kind of arbitrary sometimes. So that what should I do question is actually really, really helpful sometimes. And I don't think we need him to tell us about saving. Okay, so that's that. Oh yeah, you can kick things as well. Can't really kick people though. They just don't react to it. But there are some interesting things you can kick, which we will probably see in just a minute. Kind of like I was doing with Chrono Trigger, this is like a bit of a nostalgic favorite of mine, so I am going to be doing a little bit of a needlessly thorough playthrough here. So I am going to be going and exploring and just seeing like what there is to do apart from what's on the, the immediate obvious path. One thing you can do is you can climb up on stuff in this game, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, you don't have like a lot of like super complicated like movement techniques like you do in something like a Mario or a Banjo-Kazooie, but yeah, the movement in this game is simple enough. You move and you jump, and it's like Mega Man in 3D. You move and you jump, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And you shoot sometimes too. You jump and move and shoot. Guess that's three things. Maybe that is a little bit complicated. So yeah, okay, maybe I wasn't an idiot for being so terrible at this game as a kid. So yeah, they were basically telling me to go in the other direction, but yeah, just like in Chrono Trigger, we're going to go the opposite direction of the critical path at pretty much every juncture just to see what we can see. Because yeah, like this is another one of those games where these were the days of like a kind of interesting and worthwhile and amusing NPC dialogue. So yeah, I think this is going to be locked off from us right now. Yeah, we need a Class B license to get in there. And that's going to be like a gateway to one of the ruins underneath the island, which is kind of one of the major aspects of the game. So yeah, actually, so in Mega Man Legends was the game's American title, but in Japan this was actually known as Rockman Dash. I don't know if anyone doesn't know at this point, but Mega Man is known as Rockman over in Japan, always has been. And yeah, Mega Man Legends was Rockman Dash over there. So if you look at the title, it's like D period A, D period S. It's like Dash is an acronym. It's one of those kind of Englishy acronyms where it's, I believe it's, Oh, I had this memorized beforehand. I actually looked this up beforehand so I could say it on stream. It's dig outer. I've got it. Dig out. Just bumped my table there. Dig Outer's adventure story in Halcyon Days. I don't know. There's you might notice there's an extra D there on the end, so it would really be like Rockman dashed or dashed or something like that. But whatever. Oh, that's this. And then I actually learned something right here by going off the beaten path. There is actually not a gate here if you, or yeah, a fence blocking this off if you come here early. Instead, it is a police officer. Okay, so yeah, gateways to ruins all over the island. They're super dangerous, and you can't get in without a license. A lot of bureaucracy here on Catalox Island, which is actually, yeah, something we'll kind of have to be dealing with a little bit throughout the course of the game. I was just curious, though, to see if there was anything out here that anything interesting, anything worth checking out. And hey, we got a couple extra bits of NPC dialogue. Really interesting and unique take on the Mega Man formula here. It really isn't like what you would expect from a Mega Man game. Like Mega Man has always been like all about like action and shooting and, you know, fighting the robot masters and powers and stuff, getting your robot powers and that kind of thing. Whereas here they added like a much heavier like story and RPG elements here, where you've got like equipment and stats that you're upgrading, and there's also like kind of a mission-based thing as well, where you like have different missions with different objectives that you do sometimes as well. So it's like a kind of a grab bag of a whole bunch of sort of interesting things going on here. Then, as I've sort of mentioned before, the PS1 and N64 era was kind of the time when a lot of like different game series that were like up to that point sort of set in their ways, very traditional, very formulaic, sort of broke the mold and went out and did like interesting new things at around this time. Like, yeah, sort of Mega Man, or I guess you sort of had the original Mega Man series kind of continue in that tradition. In like Mega Man 8 and Mega Man X4 were out at about the same time as this game. I guess this was also, I guess, the kind of time where Capcom was just releasing like yearly updates for every single series they put out. So I think this was the days of like Street Fighter Alpha and whatever the sequel to Street Fighter Alpha was. Okay, I was afraid that was going to ruin everything right there, but it looks like we're fine. Steam cards from Winter Sale. You get Steam cards from Winter Sales review list. Like, what's new? Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to check out the Steam. I didn't even realize that the like Steam Winter thing had started just yet. I've been keeping my eye out on that, and I haven't seen any action on that front. I'm amped to buy stuff on Steam now because I actually cleared out a good section of my Steam backlog this year. All of the games that I bought last year's Christmas sale, which was like over a dozen of them. I played through all of them to my satisfaction, so I've actually got a reasonably clear backlog. Or that's not true, I bought other games throughout the year, but I'm at least making progress on the backlog. What do these guys have to say? But yeah, as I said, there's like kind of just like a lot of going around talking to people at this point. Oh, this... He didn't voice act that. That's kind of amusing. So if I remember correctly, and this is, yeah, this, like I said, this used to be, or did I mention that? If I haven't mentioned it already, this was, for a long time, I would have listed this as like my favorite game just ever of all time. Probably through like most of high school and heading a little bit into university. If you would have asked me what's my favorite game, I would have told you Mega Man Legends. So I know this game well enough to the point where I've got a lot of it memorized. To the point where when I saw the policeman say that thing there, I knew that was what he says in the cutscene, and it's voiced.
me welcome you to Cadillac's Island.
Gotta say, yeah, voice acting on some of the minor characters, I guess, not as good as I remembered. I think the major players are all well acted, though. I like Roll's voice. I like the Bonds. The Bond family's voice is all of them. Barrel's alright, Mega Man's alright.
It won't take very long.
Data's alright. All the major characters have good voices. It's just kind of the incidental NPCs and opening narrator that are a bit questionable.
You don't need an ID card to get in there.
And frankly, there's a bit...
Are you ready to go, Professor?
The police detective here has a certain charm about him as well, in the way he delivers his lines. Okay, so yeah, that's a thing. And yeah, again, with the bureaucracy, Gramps has got to go to City Hall. Okay, so that's kind of our next destination, sort of, is what Roll says there. Yep, and he's going to tell me what to do here, and if I ask him what I should do... And he's going to say to go check out the city. Oh, I think he did that last time already. And yeah, since I've already embarrassed myself, I've already sort of cracked into the whole, like, embarrassing stuff from my childhood stuff. I had a huge crush on Roll way back in the day. And yeah, throughout the course of, I guess there's not really, there's kind of like a love triangle thing going on between Roll and Mega Man and Tron. But yeah, Roll was always my favorite by far. Although I do like Tron is cool too. I like Tron. She actually ended up getting her own game later on down the line, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, which I actually think, in retrospect, might actually be the best of like the original Mega Man Legends games. Yeah, there's a lot of cool and even more cool and interesting stuff in that game too. So we'll definitely play Misadventures of Tron Bonne. Oh, you know what? We got to turn on the stupid pixel precision. That's right. Forgot about that. We can maybe do that the next time we find a save point. Servbots. So yeah, a lot of people have seen these guys, the Servbots, in other Capcom games. Like they've showed up in like some of the Capcom Versus games and sort of in different Capcom logos and Capcom merchandise and that type of thing. But yeah, since Mega Man Legends wasn't actually like a super popular game back in the day, kind of a cult hit as it was, a lot of people actually don't know that the Servbots originated in this game. They're kind of the foot soldiers of the Bonne family. Or really of Tron Bonne in particular, who we'll meet in just a minute here. Or actually, that's not right. We'll, right, we do this stuff at the junk store, and then we'll, run into Tron. Yep, yeah, and like I said, you can kick things sometimes. Actually, I forgot to show it off, but maybe there's another garbage pail down the street here. So one way you can check whether there's something in a garbage pail or not is if the lid flies off, then it's empty, and if it doesn't, then there's something in it. And yep, now you can see the lid will fly off. There's actually stuff hidden in a lot of different things all over the game world. Like I think there will actually end up being something in that box later on in the game. Novels, that's pretty boring. Not enough to catch my interest. Comics, but they're in bags, so I can't read them. This place sucks. Oh wait, no, this isn't. What? Where's my? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Might be fun to look at him. Mega Man's a wuss. Yeah, so that's, and yeah, there's like stuff. There's like flavor text for pretty much anything you can see on on a wall or an object on the ground or anything you can look at in this game practically. You can get like a cute bit of flavor text for it. Okay, not the vegetables, not the Oh, yep, we got cabbage, mushroom, carrots. And yeah, just again, just like I was doing with Chrono Trigger, because I'm doing kind of such a thorough playthrough, I will not be reading out the text or NPC dialogue or anything like that. There's just, because I'm gonna be going through and reading all of it. There's just too much. This playthrough would take forever if I actually read out everything, so I'm just going to read silently. Just kind of skim through it, looking for anything of interest, anything I might have forgotten. Oh yeah, so we got this can here. I love this can. So you can kick the can. And yeah, you can kick the can. And actually, so when you're around in like kind of a non-dungeon area where you can't use your gun, you can kick. And for some reason, you can kick with either your left or your right foot. So triangle for right, square for left. And it actually kind of changes the properties of your kick, weirdly enough. So you get kind of like a shorter, higher, more vertical kick. Or sorry, a shorter kick with the triangle, and then kind of a longer punt with the square button. And that's actually, knowing the properties of the two different kicks will kind of help you kick the can into Jetlag Bakery there, which is what our current objective is. There we go. Nice. And you get 1,000 zenny every time you do that. You can farm up a bit of money if you want to do it that way. And it actually is a kind of a substantial sum at this point in the game. Yeah, as you can see, we like basically almost doubled our zenny supply there. Yeah, because kicking the can into the bakery sure beats the hell out of like picking up zenny like 50 and 20 at a time out of boxes for sure. Of course, later on in the game, it's much more efficient to farm it off of monsters and robots in the ruins, but it's why would you stuff? Why is it stuffed? Isn't the outside metal, so it would be hard anyways? That I don't know if that's a weird translation or just like a funny joke. Oh, speaking of which, I'm gonna have to talk shit about Super Bunny Hop later on in the playthrough, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Nah, that sounds like a drag. No, that sounds like even more of a drag. Okay, we'll help him. Actually, we won't. Okay, she still says the same thing. Okay, so actually, I actually almost forgot about this little interlude here. So we actually do get a little bit of action right off the bat. I am actually going to go around talking to people, though, just because I'm curious to see what they have to say. A lot of it is pretty vapid and uninteresting so far. A lot of just, like, sort of, like, if you weren't paying attention to the tutorial and the intro and all of that, here's what diggers are, here's what gates are, that kind of thing. Basically just reminders about simple, basic stuff about the world for people who haven't been paying attention. Really wish that you could... Okay, in general, I'm going to be saying this probably a lot throughout the playthrough, but I really wish that... I really wish that Mega Man Legends 3 had ended up being followed through to completion. I think that game had a lot of potential. I think these games, in general, Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, both have a lot of potential. Like I've said, they've, like, the world building is all there, and the characters and all that, game just oozing with charm, and the gameplay is, like, almost there. I think if it had, like, a good, proper, modern, like, proper modern 3D shooting controls, you could make, like, an amazing game out of something like this. Because there's a bunch of stuff in this game that I think would translate really well into a modern game that hasn't really been done since this game, really. Huh, surprised that there's, like, nothing to examine on the walls there. Okay, this right here, record shop. This is a fun little place right here. Okay, so he's listening to a song. Yep, and so they got sample CDs. They got, like, a whole bunch of different sample CDs on all of the different shelves that you can examine. So we can listen to some heavy metal. Oops. Yeah. And so, as far as I know, I've been looking for... Actually, I'll just let this play out a little bit. Kind of want to turn it up a little. And yeah, these tracks go on for, like, quite a while. They're, like, actually, like, full like full tracks, and they don't appear anywhere in the game. You'd think they're just like, this is like, oh, like a little mini sound test type thing, like in Chrono Trigger, where it's like you talk to the piano man and he plays a song from the game. None of these songs in the music shop here are actually from the game. This is just like unique bits of music that are only here in the CD shop for you to listen to if you want to, and then this is the only place that any of this music appears. It's not even on the soundtrack to the game, weirdly enough. At least as far as I know. And I haven't been able to find them on YouTube either. So like as far as I know, to this day, anytime I want to listen to like any of the music here, this one's kind of a shitty one. I won't bother playing this one. Ah, fuck me, the controller is not... Oh, nope, there we go. I had the window unfocused, which is why the controller wasn't working. Okay, this one's still jazz. Actually, this is actually a classical piece of music right here. A lot of the music in this game is actually derived, or not a lot, but a bit of the music in this game is kind of derived from different bits of classical music. I think this is Chopin piano etude, however that's pronounced. Etude? E2D? I don't know. It's a piano song by a famous classical composer dude. It doesn't sound very good in this iteration, so we're going to move on. But, yeah. I think the rock music CD was the highlight, though. I really like the track that plays on that one. Actually, this one, too. I like this. I like the Fusion CD, also. This type of thing right here is kind of my jam. And then I think Baroque was the other one. Or actually, I believe this is the one bit of music that actually does appear somewhere in the game. We'll hear this, I think, during a cutscene later in the game, if I'm not mistaken, which I very well could be. As far as I know, this is not an actual, like, real piece of classical music. I think this is unique to this game. But yeah, there are other bits of classical music that appear throughout the game that I will point out as we come to them. They say it's a station for listening to CDs, but this is actually like the one place in the shop where you don't listen to a CD if you examine it. This pop one is easy to overlook. They say it's a pop CD, but it almost sounds more like, I don't know what to describe it as. Certainly not pop. Actually, this is actually that kind of like a fusion jazz type thing as well. Anyways, CD shop is a fun place. I think really, I think the rock CD is probably my favorite out of them by far. It just sounds really badass. You think it would actually make like a good boss theme for the game, almost. Maybe a bit too intense for the type of game that this is, but. Yeah, I don't think there's anything useful you can get here. Oh god, a VCR. Yeah, those actually existed back in these days. I owned a VCR at the same time that I owned and played this game back in the day. I had my PlayStation sitting on top of my VCR. I was actually lucky enough to have my own TV back in the day too. It was not like we weren't rich or anything. It was like a little shitty, like tiny TV. It was like, I don't know what the measurements would be. It was like this big, like the size of my head, kind of. a little bit wider. But yeah, it was just a small television, but I had it in the basement for playing video games and sometimes watching movies, but mostly video games. Could the PS1 play movies? I don't think it could. Yeah, PS1 you could play music CDs on it, although the interface for that was terrible. PS2 added DVDs, and then yeah, PS3 was Blu-ray. I don't know if the PS4 has anything like that. I'm not even... Okay, a little bit of self-referential whatever there. Fourth wall breaking, kind of. Although, I don't know, maybe Mega Man is like famous already in this universe here, and they've already made a game out of his like past escapades. Little bit of, lazy graphics work there. They just reversed the one side, so dash is spelled backwards. Or did, yeah, I already explained about... Yeah, I remember. I went in the whole bit. I explained all about Dig Outer's adventure story in Halcyon Days and all of that stuff. Actually, will they let me go into the out of the Apple Market just yet? Oh no, it's citizens only. They built a wall. They're keeping us out with this big wall that they've built. Actually, while we're here, we're gonna kick the can again. We're gonna stop doing this eventually. Eventually, we'll have enough money from shooting robots that we won't need to. But for the time being, in the early game bits, when we're still poor, yeah, we're totally gonna kick the can. Ugh. If you get it lined up just right, you can get it in like 2 or 3 kicks, and it's actually not that difficult. This is a good spot. You use a triangle kick there, and it bounces right the fuck back. Son of a bitch. Your positioning matters a bit too. What if we do it like this? You can actually get it stuck up there, like on above the sign of Jet Lag Bakery. That, yeah, you saw it almost happened there. That's a thing that can happen to you if you're unlucky. Okay, what if we do it this way to get a bit more advantageous position? Oh, I think I'm feeling this. Nope, not even close. Whatever, this is worth 1,000 frickin' zenny, guys. I'm gonna do it. Okay, bank shot. Oh god, did that... Okay, for a second I thought that actually went in. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Jump! Oh, hey, it actually... Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, we got it, finally. 1,000 zenny. We literally can't even buy anything at this point in the game, but we'll be able to once we get out of the ruins here. And actually, yeah, as much as I was saying is that the requirements to proceed sometimes are a bit obtuse, throughout a lot of the game, they actually do give you like very frequent and obvious signposts towards what your next objective is. Yeah, I don't think anyone has anything new to say. We're just gonna move on. Okay, so we actually do get a little bit of action, a little bit sooner than I had recalled. Okay, so here we are in, yeah, one of the game's many, they call them sub-gates, I think it is. Yeah, it's basically just little ruins sprinkled throughout the island that are just, yeah, little sections that you can go down into and uncover items and zenny and all types of good stuff. There's, yeah, kind of like a dungeon delving type element here, which I think is actually really cool. This is one of the things that sort of really drew me to this game, even apart from just the yeah, just the charm and the setting and the characters and all that stuff. This whole dungeon delving aspect I've found just really, I don't know, just fascinating, because I've never really played anything quite like this, I don't think. At least not in 3D, where it's like almost like kind of Metroidvania type thing, where you're exploring this underground structure, and it becomes evident pretty quickly that like all of these sub-gates are connected together, and then later on, once you get the proper tools, you'll be able to yeah, sort of see how everything's all connected. In fact, if we open up the map right here. Yeah, so all of that is going to fill in, and it's also going to connect to a bunch of other maps. So like this whole, so like there's actually like this massive, like sprawling substructure beneath the island, and you sort of slowly start to realize over the course of the game that like it's all connected to each other. And I don't know, that's kind of a neat thrill I found. It sort of adds, yeah, that sort of element of intrigue where it's like, holy shit, it's all connected, it's all one big thing. Kind of like this, for some people, the realization that like the map in Super Metroid actually like fits together in a way that makes sense, or like in Dark Souls for that matter, where it's like everything actually like geometrically like fits together very neatly and is actually very well designed. there's kind of like a similar sense of that in this game here as you explore the ruins. And even apart from that, it's just kind of... I mean, it's not exactly a fun place to be. It's a little bit dreary. There's no music or anything, just kind of, I don't know, kind of creepy, windy, like, sound effects. Although I must say, actually, this, or I guess ambient noise you would call it, although I actually do think the sound design in this game is really solid. I like just like a lot of iconic noises, I would say, like the sound of like hitting a reaver bot with your buster, the way stuff just kind of pings off of the walls. I don't know, maybe that just ends up happening with any game that a person is nostalgic for, where it's just all of the sound effects become like totally just iconic in your mind when you've played a game that many times. But I don't know, I really like the sound effects in this game, and the music and everything pretty much. So that's as much as we have to do for this little trip into the ruins here. So yeah, that little detour on like the little other branch at the start there was unnecessary. And now we've also got another door here to take us a little bit deeper. So yeah, this is like kind of an optional little thing that you can do here. Actually, I think a lot of the ruin exploration in this game is kind of optional. Actually, now that I think of it, there's a ton of stuff in this game that's completely optional. Okay, this bit right here, this is where circle strafing doesn't work so well when you're in situations like this. You kind of have to duck and move a little bit. Actually, this guy's, like, not even trying to hit me. Okay, he is kind of trying to hit me. But not very hard. He's just kind of circling around me. I can just... It's like he's circle strafing me, and that's the strategy for how we beat him. Oh, shit. Totally missed... Totally didn't see that guy. Yeah, these things are, like, really, like, unwieldy and clumsy, so it's actually... not even really necessary to circle strafe those guys. Or actually, so there's no map completion percentage in this game or anything like in Symphony of the Night, so there's no good reason to fill in all of the map squares, except that I hate having like the open passageways there. Like, I need to fill these in so that I know, for my own mental sanity, that I know that there's not a tunnel there or anything. Although there is kind of a reason to be blowing up robots that you don't otherwise need to blow up, and that is, of course, for the sweet, delicious Zenny. Oh yeah, and this is... They go through this tutorial again, just in case you didn't get the one in the tutorial area. So yeah, we can have up to 2 Buster parts equipped, so we're gonna put that on. Now we can shoot a little bit faster. Oh yeah, I guess I could explain the stats. I'll explain the stats when they actually matter. Right now, there's only 2 things we can have equipped anyways. Or that's the wrong way. Yeah, so this is kind of your first taste of the regular dungeon delving in the game, which they kind of gave you that already in the tutorial bit, but that was like a tutorial bit. Here, there's no more tutorial other than the, you know, the bit about Buster parts in the chest, just in case you missed it the first time. But yeah, that's kind of your first proper foray into a dungeon. Pretty simple, but it kind of introduces that aspect of the game in the game proper. Now so yeah, they introduced sort of the aspect of like kind of the adventure-y aspects where you're talking to NPCs and doing kind of fetch questy type stuff, which is a big part of the game. And then in a moment, or actually a few moments, this is the part where the action kind of dies off for a little while here. Oh, we got ourselves a spotter's car. Wonder if we'll be able to use it eventually. I think I forgot to save. I'm not happy with how long it takes to load that frickin' memory card. Oh my god, we've been playing for 40 minutes already? Wow. Yep, this is going to be a long playthrough, but I'm fine with that. Okay, it's still Buster parts and saving. Although I think the stuff that the NPCs say does actually change. Yep, he has already given us a ticket. I think these guys say the same thing. Oh, actually no, that was different. Yeah, that's the other thing is this. Maybe I won't be going that thorough in the end after all, because there's just so much extra dialogue and flavor text in this game. It's like the NPC dialogue is changing constantly as you progress through the game. Oh, we got the can. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. Oh yeah, one other thing that a lot of people don't know about this game is you can kind of shuffle along by holding the circle button and pressing side to side. You can also walk, which we're actually about to get a tutorial about in a second. But yeah, holding the walk button, moving side to side, will let you kind of sidle along there. Which is really not useful at all. You're never ever going to use that in combat. The one thing it's good for is for lining up your can kicking. Okay, so we want a triangle hit. Fuck. Yeah, I feel like the usual procedure when I knew how to do this was 2 kicks to get it in front of the bakery, and then 1 to get it inside. I am going to give this a couple more shots and then give up. Oh, I think this is a good position. I think we might have it. Son of a bitch. I'll give it... because this worked last time when we did it this way. Oh, that's the perfect spot. Perfect spot. Son of a bitch. Oh, we almost got it there. Almost got it there. Getting closer. Okay, now we're getting farther away. Okay, fuck this. Actually, I think even the NPCs here have different things to say. Okay, looks like no. See, are you sure you've got one? She's like... even she can just tell we're lying just by looking at us. Actually, I think that this is just about a good time for a break, actually, because we'll break in a second, actually. So, because there's a lot of like NPCing to get through here, a lot of kind of fetch questy stuff before we get to the next action scene. So I think we'll play a little bit more here, then go for a break, and then come back and then do like the second half of the fetch questy stuff before the next sort of main action event. Oh wow, they're just gonna give me a car? I mean, you know, a busted card, but you know. It apparently has weapons and upgrades and stuff in it. Oh no, that's stuff he has to sell me. Oh, here it is. Here's the decision. Is anyone in chat listening? What do we do here? This is a momentous decision. This decision will have repercussions that will carry forward throughout the entire rest of the game. What's our name, guys? Okay, I don't know what the delay is on Twitch chat here, actually, so I'm actually not going to bother waiting. We're just going ahead. We're going for it. Hippopotamus. I can't remember. I think she still says the same thing for Mega Man. What kind of name is that? Or maybe she might say something like that's a nice name. I don't remember. I kind of like to buy things now, though. Although, like I said, oh, this is a cute little detail right here. She was the digger and he was the spotter. I just like that. But yeah, it looks like there's nothing else to do just yet. What? No, Mega Man, what are... sorry, Hippopotamus, what are you doing? I want to squash. No, if you're asking about the hippopotamus thing, I was kind of being sarcastic, just a little bit though. So basically, the weapon if you give your name as hippopotamus, the weapon shop owner will indeed. No one else does it, but for the weapon shop owner will continue to call you hippopotamus right up to the very end of the game if you give your name as hippopotamus. Like, we'll be like saying goodbye at like kind of the end game bit where you can go around and talk to all the townspeople before you leave the island, and she will still say, and they'll still be saying like, "Oh, I'm so glad I met you, hippopotamus." Oh, did I not go in here before? I feel like I missed her. Oh yeah, I remember this girl. Yeah, she's like creeping on him throughout the whole game or something like that. Oh, and this girl too. And I like how the camera zooms in to just like, let's actually think seriously about this and give her a good look over. Would the dress look good on her? It doesn't look like much of a dress. It's like this weird purple moo looking thing. So I'm gonna say no. Oh, apparently that was the wrong answer. I think it's an ugly dress, but sure, it would look good on you. How about fuck off? I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but she does have terrible taste in dresses. I think she says the exact same thing if you say yes, yeah. Yeah, looks like I actually have to... There is a household matter that requires my attention right now, so I will... Oh, well, yeah, and it looks like they did, yeah, change up the NPC dialogue a little bit. Although these guys don't have anything new to say. Actually, I feel like I haven't, like, bothered to go into the buildings most of the time throughout the game. So yeah, I think they mostly have, like, the same shit to say throughout most of the game. Anyways, that's enough of that. So anyways, we're going to go into the support car now. I guess it's not like all entirely... Okay. We're going to see if we can get the 3-kick can. And then that's it. We're going to do 3 kicks. And if we don't get the 3-kick can, then we're just going to move on. So it's triangle. Triangle. Oh yeah, this is the first game that where the sort of Mega Man Legends design comes from, yeah. Okay, we're gonna see if we can do it in 4 kicks. See if we can do it. We're in basically the same position, so we're gonna see if we can... Fuck off, kid. We're gonna see if we can get it in 5 kicks. Okay, no we can't. We're done. Yeah, because there are basically... Actually, I was gonna say 3 versions of Mega Man, but there's a lot more than that now, aren't there? There's... What, there's original Mega Man, there's Mega Man X, there's Mega Man Legends, those are kind of the original 3. Then there was Mega Man EXE, which I played a little bit of the first one, I think, but that's about the extent of my experience with that series. Actually, that's a good point, yeah. Yeah, it is kind of a boxy design, or I guess, yeah, his head's kind of going through the wall there a little bit. But because of the way the game's camera is kind of fixed behind you, you can't really like manipulate the camera to get a good look at how badly it's clipping. Yeah, all of the characters and like the objects in this game have a very boxy design. Everything is very rectangular. The rooms, the characters, everything's kind of based on rectangles. Which kind of makes it all the more embarrassing that I had such a crush on Roll back then, but whatever. Whoops! Oh, I didn't mean to.
Guess we'll have to try digging for them ourselves.
What the man at the junk store said.
Might take a while. Which means... Huh? Mega Man, what's that? It looks like a weapons upgrade module.
Oh, this? Yeah, the junk store man gave it to me. He said we could use this car to hook it up.
You mean we can use this car? Well, come on then. Let's get it attached right away.
Okay, so now we don't have to be stuck with our boring little right kick in
There,
combat
it's
now.
ready.
So yeah, triangle button is kick if you don't have a weapon equipped, but if you do have a weapon, it'll use
This
that
weapon
weapon.
lets you use landmines. Just drop them in front of an oncoming enemy and boom! Just remember.
I don't know
there's a
what it is, I
limited
just love the
number of
delivery
mines,
of
so
some of the
make
lines
sure
in
to
this
use them
game.
sparingly.
And
Do you
boom!
want me to explain what this weapon does again?
Are you gonna say boom again?
This weapon lets you use... Just drop them in front of an oncoming enemy and boom! Just remember, there's a limited number of mines, so make sure
I'm
you
way
use
too
them
amused by
sparingly.
this.
Do you want me to explain what this weapon does again?
I don't know, should we go for a third time? I think 3 booms might be too
I
much.
get to work on fixing...
Oops, oh, I didn't mean to hit
I'll
that.
be able to help you out and maybe spot for you if I can get it running again.
Okay, so yeah, she's just gonna explain about item development. Yeah, basically there's a weapon upgrade system, so yeah, as much as I was talking about sort of money in this game and how we're kicking the can to get that cash flow going early on, there's actually a ton of stuff to spend money on in this game. Like, this is a game that you can sort of grind on for a very, very long time if you want to get like a true 100% and upgrade all of the weapons. Yeah, item development. Basically, you can find junk all over the game world and turn it into roll, and she'll make items for you. Some of them are required to progress, so there's a kind of like a Metroidvania aspect there, where it's like some items will let you unlock new parts of the ruins, but most of them are just optional combat things. Okay, and that's about all of that. Can she do development just yet? I feel like I actually do want to... Oh,
Ah, there
okay,
you
we
are.
do get subtitles for this one.
I'm looking for you so I could give you this. Citizen's card. Now you'll be able to use the city gates.
The audio seems to be like
Of
clipping
course,
off
there
the
are
start
some
of each
gates that can't be
sentence.
opened, but
I'm pretty sure that wasn't
What is
in
that?
the original game. I don't know why it's
Pirates.
doing this.
we've received
I might take a
information
minute to
that
look that up
indicates there
and see if
are
there's a
some
way to
dangerous
fix
zones.
that online during the
As
break.
precaution, we're
I didn't notice
evacuating
it because I've been
civilians
talking
and locking
over
the gates.
most of the dialogue so far.
Pirates? Our
yeah,
grandfather
Roll
is still
sounds
inside
fine,
the
though.
city. Will he be all right?
Well, I'm sure he's heard the announcements about the pirates. If I see him, I'll make sure he gets to a safe place. If you'll excuse me.
What's going to be a
I'm
safe
worried
place if
about
pirates are
Gramps.
going to attack the city?
I hope he'll be okay.
Do they have like a bunker
I'll
or
go look
something?
for
I know
him.
for a fact
You
that
wait
they
here.
don't.
Okay, Mega Man. Be careful.
Okay, but are they going to let me upgrade my landmines just yet? God damn it, Roll. Anything new to tell me? It's probably just going to tell me... Nah, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to take a snack break. You get some amusing bits of dialogue, I think, when you take the wrong dialogue options in this game. I do like to help Roll. Okay, so we're gonna save. Now, if I could find a nice place with like no music, I could turn on. Yeah, I feel like the timer on this game is like going way fast. Has it really been an hour already? Good grief. Yeah, so actually, we can just mute the game audio. So yeah, we'll put this down to 0, and we're gonna flip on my tunes. Oh, hey, we got Castlevania music again. Just coincidentally, happened to come up next in the playlist. Okay, so we're going on another snack break, and yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes.